This is the Best Drama Series nominee panel for the IAWTV Awards. Good. All right, so let's get started. Give me 1 second while I put up my notes. I apologize for the delay. We did a room switch because we wanted to show you some video, and the other panel wasn't using the screen anyway, so here we are. All right, so this is in no particular order. Actually, it is. It's in alphabetical order. The 5 shows and the 5 representees on stage here for the International Academy of Web Television. The International Academy of Web Television is an organization that supports web video, web television, and usually episodic online series, both comedy, drama, sketch, reality, nonfiction, etc. So this is focusing on dramatic scripted shows, and these are our 5 nominees that are going to be awarded tonight in the award show about 100 feet that way. So I hope you see you all there. Anyway, I'm going to start with the, just going down the list here. I'm going to have each of them introduce themselves very quickly. We're going to go one person, and I'm going to show video, a trailer from their show, and we'll go to the next. So we're going to start with Ben Bays from AIDAN.
Hi, I'm Ben Bays from AIDAN. I'm the executive producer, director, writer.
Excellent. Can you just give us a quick plug about the show, or would you rather just show the trailer first?
I'll show the trailer first, and then I can give you a little synopsis.
All right, AIDAN.
How does it make you feel? All alone. I guess that's the difference between us. I don't feel anything at all.
For more than 40 years, Infinity Corporation of America has been the quality brand you know and trust.
Shouldn't you be resting?
Why? Did you solve the case?
I'm Charles Maybell, Vice President of Operations. Is there something I can help you with?
One of our lead detectives is suspected of murdering 3 surrogates. If you don't mind, we'd like you to turn over the creation history of his clones.
Yes, I do mind.
All departmental cloning goes through Infinity. Anything else would be illegal.
Are you crazy? I can't take you there. They'll kill me.
Search the premises. I want creation logs, databases, computer archives. If it has to do with cloning, pack it up.
Infinity is gunning for us. You're not safe.
I need answers. Get down!
There are still some things I need to figure out for myself. Tread lightly, detective.
Has anyone seen the shooter?
Hey, disengage now! I have my answer, and now he's gone.
I'm your partner!
What did you do to them? What did you do to us?
Things have gotten out of control.
It would seem so, sir.
Nice. All right. Nicely done. So Ben, you're the director, and you're in the show.
I have a very brief cameo in there. I'm one of the showrunners. John Jackson, who's also a director, writer, co-executive producer, is in the audience as well, with our Maya Sayer and Mike, who does our composing, Mike Jackson. But as you can see, AIDAN really is a live-action shot on green screen with illustrated sketchbook-style animations for all of our environments. And the story is about a detective in the not-too-distant future who's trying to solve the serial killings of his own clones. So it's a 16-part web series that was produced entirely with no budget, with an all-volunteer cast and crew under very pressured time restrictions and resource restrictions.
Excellent, excellent. Let's move on to the lovely Susan Miller, representing Anyone But Me. Susan, you want to tell us about the show, or you want to see the clip?
I think I'll just follow suit. I like that.
All right.
I'm the executive producer, writer of the show, along with my creative partner, Tina Cisa Ward, who is not represented here this morning, but will be tonight. So
everything will be fine, Viv. These are your best years, huh?
He also said these are the worst of times.
Westchester is not that far, you know.
You didn't think I'd let you go that easy, did you? I hope not.
Look out, city girl like Clarence.
Excellent. All right, Susan, give us a brief skinny.
Anyone But Me is about a new generation of young people who are gay, straight, multi-ethnic, struggling with identity and modern relationships. And we completed 3 seasons. We're going to be producing a series finale in the spring. And we did it also with private funding, the first 2 seasons, and then the 3rd season we did a webathon, which no one had done before. We didn't understand that we were putting out basically 90 minutes of original free video, and so it was a lot of work, but it was great fun, and we raised like $34,000 towards a season 3. And, you know, this is really one of the drama shows. I'm feeling like if we could just take our characters and insert them into one of these wonderful otherworldly series, we might have something. But anyway, it's great to work with this. Also, we have a wonderful ensemble of actors who are now growing up, and we have to let them go.
Okay. I'm gonna pick on you on that one a little bit. All right. So next up, Cell, Mark Gardner, creator. Same as the others. Just go to the clip?
Yeah. Let's do that. Let's just roll it and see what happens.
Sometimes, if I close my eyes really tight and I think really hard, I can see little lights, and they look like stars.
You know who you are, who you were before this.
I will not fall back into darkness.
If you weren't special, you wouldn't have been chosen.
This is where we start to take control.
Imagine having to start all over again.
All right.
So yeah, Cell is, and again, my name's Mark. Hi, I'm the creator, writer, director, producer of Cell. Our show is probably one of the darkest shows I've seen on the web. It's a dark psychological drama / thriller. One of the things that I think is we tried differently is the idea was to keep everything as contained as possible. 1 location, 3 characters. And really, when you break it down, it's a character study of this space and what's going on with that. So the big thing for us is we wanted to keep everything contained, especially when we started doing this. So that's why it is Cell. 95% of it takes place in that location, which had its own struggles that I could talk about forever. Not just technical struggles, but also creative. How do you do, we have about 2 hours worth of content online. How do you do 2 hours worth of content but have unique looking shots so it doesn't get stale every time? How do you make that work? So it was a very, very interesting process to get in there, and probably, in all honesty, probably the best thing I have ever been involved in. Very, very low budget, again, just like everybody else up here, but really and truly the most rewarding thing I've ever been involved in.
All right, excellent. And let's move on to Pioneer 1 with Bracey Smith. I like how you almost sat in order for this.
Yeah, I'm sorry I screwed that up.
Yeah. What the heck, man? So I'm just going to roll the clip because I'm going to follow suit with everybody, and then Bracey will introduce the show.
Sounds good.
Something fell out of the sky and spread radiation over my country.
An airliner?
That's what we think now, but we're trying to confirm that with eyewitnesses.
A satellite crashed 2 nights ago near Edmonton in Canada.
Do most satellites have people inside of them?
Someone got their hands on some old Soviet hardware and are using it to perpetrate an attack on the United States.
An attack on Montana, sir?
We need an expert in here, someone who knows what they're talking about.
The Soviet satellite wasn't a satellite, it was some kind of capsule. We found him inside.
A little green men, is that what we're talking about here?
That kid might represent the key to your life's work.
I know you're not the brightest bunch, but NASA still works for you, don't they?
Hospitals in the area are reporting multiple patients with radiation sickness.
There are radiation concerns, and the quarantine is a precautionary measure.
There's more going on here than we're being told.
You're about to witness one of the most important discoveries in all of history.
What isn't your government telling us?
Sharing information helps. That's how science works.
Unfortunately, it's not how governments work.
What we are talking about here is akin to Columbus, upon discovering the New World, deciding to turn his ships around and never looking back.
Spoken like the master obfuscator you are.
You were saying it's acceptable risk. Do you see now?
This wasn't some nut who strapped a bomb to his chest.
This is a mistake. I'm telling you, you are making a mistake.
I don't think so.
Sounds like a blast.
Is that a rocket joke?
Excellent. All right, Bracey.
Hi, I'm Bracey Smith. I'm the director, and with my creative partner, Josh Bernard, we're the executive producers of Pioneer 1.
Tell us about the show, just really quickly.
Well, yeah, that doesn't really show you much, but it basically what's going on is we're exploring the idea of what if we already went to Mars, and back in the 80s, the Soviet Union had already launched a manned mission to Mars, and we forgot about it, and it returns. And really kind of exploring the political fallout of what that would mean now, and in a world that's kind of filled the headlines with terrorism, and there's not a lot of trust, and we kind of see things a little different than we used to back then. So that's kind of what Pioneer 1 is about.
All right, excellent. And finally, last but not least, Receiver with David Van, is it Eyssen?
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, good. So I'm going to roll the clip, and then David will introduce the show. Or rather, the clip will introduce the show.
I deeply believe that America is the hope of the world. And I know that in the quality and wisdom of the leadership America gives,
we don't get a whole heap of visitors around here.
Dreams, blood, light. That's how you're chosen.
What did you see? It was a boy.
Did you see him?
Did you?
No, tell me I didn't.
No, I didn't either.
Receivers can't hide what's happening to them. Because when receivers turn, they're confused and agitated. Their heads are full of concepts. They've got no cognitive basis for processing.
Dad, we had a laugh.
There is a new one. Somewhere close, we know that. It's not him.
I know it's going to end. I'll die. And they'll activate another receiver.
That's why we chose you.
Awesome. All right, David, tell us about the show real quick.
So Receiver is a show about UFO hunting in the 1970s, and takes the idea that, since the late 19th century, since the invention of the telephone, there's been a spike in technological development. And, where has that come from? People have talked about Moore's law and the singularity and all these very interesting ideas, but another theory is extraterrestrial channeling. And what Receiver is about is people who are these change agents who receive information from extraterrestrials and are basically taken into custody by governments and pressured to release that information, which becomes license and patent for all the technology that we've seen, from nuclear engineering to putting a man on the moon right up to the iPad. A little bit of conspiracy.
Excellent. All right, so those are our 5 nominees. I'm going to just go right into the discussion here. So typically when you kind of ask the public, or when you think about web video, a lot of people go right to, obviously, cat videos, comedy, sketch. I'd like to just ask each of you, why'd you do a drama? Why a drama? Starting with Ben here.
Well, we set out to do drama not because we wanted to start a drama, but because I think our series started out actually as a 48-hour film project that John Jackson and Tim Baldwin did. And they had just created this great story in 48 hours, a 4-minute short film that just had this fantastic premise. There was really a drama-based presence, and so kind of the gritty film noir genre really lent itself to that. And when I got involved with the project, really wanted to expand it into a much larger story that had it was very plot-driven, but at the same time had interesting characters. And when you put all of those together, you instantly wind up with drama.
Excellent. Susan?
Well, I come from drama. I wrote for 30-something in the L Word, and I'm also a playwright. So I think Tina and I both wanted to do something about relationships, and also, in a way, kind of enlarge the conversation to include people who aren't usually represented. But at the same time, even though our 2 main characters are teenagers and lesbians, and one could look at this as a show about high school, we're all still in high school. And so, I mean, some of those traumas and those difficulties, just follow us the rest of our lives, as many of our fans of all ages continue to tell us. I think for me, I wanted to have something that really, though, would not be the sort of glitzy, exaggerated realm of growing up, but something that really tapped into the realities of it. And that would be both humorous, people fucking up all the time, and tender and passionate. And, I also knew that to make the show really work, we'd have to assemble a cast that had, chemistry and electricity, and also were going to be emerging, I won't say stars, but emerging talents. And the audience reaction to them has also been very much part of our show. It's very important. I don't think we realized, though, at the time also, we just wanted to do it with our own vision, not have interference anywhere. But we didn't take into account, which I'm sure Bernie will cover too, how kind of difficult drama on the web seems to be in terms not of getting an audience, but in terms of, the splash or the publicity or the people coming to you offering to support it. It wouldn't change my mind. Nothing would change my mind about doing the show. I think, as Mark said, this has been one of the sort of 2 creative experiences in my life that have the most meaning.
Mark?
Okay, so why I chose drama? Several reasons. One of them, probably in retrospect, I didn't know what I was doing. But looking back at it, looking at the space, I saw a lot of comedy. I was like, I want to do something different. There's a lot of comedy online. I want to do something different. Maybe I should focus on drama. But beyond that, at a deeper level, I personally wanted to tell a story that was meaningful to me, and it was about finding yourself. And to me, that fit within the drama realm. So there was a part of me that was like, yeah, I could write something funny. My next project is funny, but I want to do something different. I don't want to be another comedy on the web. Beyond that, I really wanted to look at what it meant to find yourself, to really dig down and see who you are as a person, what it means when you lose yourself, and how you find yourself again. And if you really sit down and look at it, that's what I was trying to get across with all the writing within Cell and the story within Cell. Now, it kind of blew up as I started writing, and I was like, oh, and this is cool too. And that's when my Whedon things started popping in, started putting little things here and there, and it turned into a bigger thing with a 60-page Bible with a mythology that goes back to the 1760s. How did that happen? I don't know. But ultimately, that's why if we can get a season 2 going, you guys will see some of that stuff pop out. But ultimately, this first one was really about finding yourself, and then each season after that is finding something else. Season 2 would be about finding your family. Season 3 about finding community and what it all means. So that's kind of where I jumped into and why Cell became a drama, really.
Awesome. I'm just going to keep just down this line. So go ahead. David, why this story and why drama?
Well, I mean, I've been interested in these kinds of stories for a long time. I was weaned on kind of episodic TV in the UK, like The Prisoner and Doctor Who, and then American shows like The Twilight Zone, Outer Limits, and these were the things that really obsessed me. And I think what I loved about them was that they were really little genre tales about the mystery of existence. So, I mean, in a way, science fiction was never viewed as having any kind of priority in the culture. You know, it was this B-movie category. And over the years as I grew up, I watched B become A. I watched Star Wars become the biggest franchise in the history, and Harry Potter and fantasy and science fiction suddenly being recognized, and writers that I had loved, like Bradbury and Asimov and all these guys that I'd read and the stuff that I'd watched, being heralded as important works of art. And when I started creating for the web, my instinct was that the short form lent itself to the short story and these kind of encapsulated little fables that I'd watched and loved. And my instinct was to create that kind of story for this medium because it just seemed to fit. And drama, I never think of drama or comedy. I don't categorize storytelling. I think of story, which happens to be tragic, funny, by turns. You know, I don't think of drama as a category. I do think of science fiction as a category, but it's strange that I don't see drama in that way. So just storytelling that happens to have strong dramatic elements and is science fiction is how I looked at Receiver.
Excellent. It's a good answer. And finally, Bracey?
About 2 years ago, almost to the day, but definitely to the month, Josh kind of came to me with a concept for Pioneer 1, and he kind of laid it down, and I was like, that's not only a timely story that needs to kind of be told now, because pretty soon it's all just going to come true, and we won't be able to look relevant anymore,
the Mars astronaut coming back?
Not that element, but I think you'll notice if you look at the news in the past in the news in the past 2 years, you'll see that there's a lot of things happening. Like we're finding the Soviet rover on the moon that no one knew about. It's like all these past missions that had happened are starting to become relevant again, starting to come back in the news and the press, and now there's a race. There's like not really up there, but there's kind of an underground race to Mars, and everybody's trying to get China to go there first, so then the United States will definitely go, and all this stuff is happening. And it's like a lot of things are actually happening, and we wanted to show the drama and the threads that were leading there before it actually happened. So I hope I didn't just say too much. No. But so Josh showed me this idea, and he kind of explained it to me, and I was like, this is dynamic. It works, kind of like you were saying. It's not just like a drama. To me, the best dramas are dynamic. They're funny. They're spiritual. They reach in a lot of different areas. So when I saw that, I was like, we gotta do this. We gotta do this now. So we started to shoot a pilot, and we fundraised on Kickstarter to get that pilot, but the whole intention was to sell it to a network. And what we're going to do is we were just going to release it online through BitTorrent, where people pirate shows, and hope that they didn't notice that it wasn't from a network. And it worked. And that was going to be the end of it. But then the fans wanted to see more, so they donated for the rest of the season, which we ended up only using for 3 more episodes. But then after those went out, we did 2 more. So we finished the first season because there was a call for the drama. We wanted to make a TV show, and it just ended up on the web. And that's kind of...
So to clarify, Bracey, I think everybody else on the panel has, if you top out their episodes, they're about 10 minutes, give or take a few minutes. Yours are much longer.
Ours range from 38 minutes to 45, some 44, somewhere in there, depending on the episode. But I mean, we were going for an hour-long drama, just a TV show. It just happened to be on the web, and yeah.
All right, excellent. I'm going to use that to transition to a topic that's much further down my list, but we're going to go there. So the evolution of the web now, you see, even just 2 years ago, people thought if you have video on the web, it has to be short, right? And I think you have what you see, you have very different pieces up here because Susan's show, Eyssen with Me, has 3 seasons in, I believe, right? And it's very much an episodic, short form series. While you can make an argument that, for example, Cell and Receiver are kind of these, they could fit into a movie format, I believe. I'm not sure exactly. It feels that way from when I watched the show. So, and as far as 8 and 5, I guess it could. But you're kind of going episodically as well. And of course, Bracey with what we just called a television show online. But now we're also seeing that, more pieces are making longer form pieces for the web. So where do you feel the work is going to become then? Like, is the next series, not say your show, not the show you're doing now, that's this one that we're talking about, but the show that you do afterward, will it be basically a 40-minute drama? And anybody can jump in here. I'm not going to call anybody.
I'd like to. First of all, I want to say something. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've enormous pride in sitting with all these people up here, watching the output that they've done out of their own resources and ingenuity. It is absolutely. It's an incredible thing, and But I think what's great about online media is there are no rules, there are no regulations, there are no executive classes sitting on top of us telling us what to do. I think it can be short form, I think it can be long form, I think it can be a feature, I think it can be in 3D, I think it can be interactive. I don't think it matters. I think we have the ability to create for many, many diverse markets. You can make a show that's gay-oriented and find your niche. You can't really do that on television. But television wants to be all things to all people. I think what we can be is some things to some people. The fact that we've got 2 billion people online consuming our content means you only need 4 or 5 million to make it a success. So my view is the more plural, the more differentiated what we do is, the better. And some people are going to consume in short form, and you might be able to tap that all together and make a long form piece. Sometimes they're going to watch it as long form. TV's just the biggest screen in your house now, right? You plug into the back and you watch things as you want to see them. I think we've got to continue to create in ways that are not regimented, that are not formulaic. That's what's giving our medium power. And I think that's important.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that drew me to the web, when I say this, I don't mean in the form of it. I want to say the freedom of the theater that I always felt, which was the sort of ownership to do whatever I liked in a way that I liked, in my own voice. And I think that's the thing about the web, is that we have a real opportunity here to find our voices and to have our voices heard in whatever style, length, genre, and I don't even like that word, but for me, and for Tina as well, the challenge also to do it right at this moment, let's say, in a 10-minute version, in a 10-minute episode, is pretty amazing. It's turned into an opportunity. Now, if you say, well, you actually have enough money to do a show for 50 minutes, depending on because the context matters, So if you have something that says to you, it has to be 50 minutes, guys, great. And then you'll meet that challenge. So I really, you said it so beautifully. And that's why I hope that this medium, this new world, that maybe we ventured in early and maybe we'll come back and stay in and do all kinds of things, and that it gets the support that it needs so we can do this and invite others.
The one thing I wanted to touch on that and add to that is that it's really the stories driving the format and the lengths instead of the other way around. You know, I came from television where, you know, you have to meet that time frame, whether it's a 30-minute format or a 60-minute format. You know, we'd sit there in the edit bay and have to cut out scenes that were great, but because it just was impeding that time frame. And really, you realize that sometimes they were stretching it to fit the 1 hour. Sometimes they were, you know, trying, and to have the freedom to tell your story in that medium and to tell the story correctly and not worry about those time frames has been incredibly freeing. And I think that's really the medium. It's free.
Like say to a novelist, your novel has to be 396 pages. Every novelist.
Right. And well, what I was going to say is that your episode needs to be as long as the story supports. Right. End of it. Now, Ben kind of already said that, you bastard. But, you know, that's exactly what I feel.
Getting heated already, huh? You're ready for this fight.
How long is that episode going to be? How long does it need to be?
Yeah.
That's all it boils down to. If your episode needs to be 3 minutes, by God, make it 3 minutes. If it needs to be 48 minutes, which I sat and I watched 48 minutes of Pioneer 1 easily, then make it 48 minutes. It's however long the story needs to be.
For me, it's always kind of been I wanted to create what I wanted to watch, and I think that's going to be the case for most people who are creating. Like I want to watch long form. I want to sit down on a weekend and consume all 5 seasons of Friday Night Lights because that's what Netflix will let me do. And so I wanted to create that experience for somebody else because that's what I wanted to watch, and I think that's. The beauty of what, I mean, we've all said it already, it's the beauty of what we're moving into, but I think the challenge is going to be showing people that beauty.
I also want to point out something. I went to a festival not too long ago because we're talking about pointing out to people the beauty of what we can do. I went to a festival, they had a panel on creating for the web, and I swear to God, the 3 panelists up there, one of them said, you cannot make anything over 2 minutes. One of them said, I won't watch anything over 30 seconds. 30 seconds?
Oh, wait. Are these creators on this panel or executives?
These were creatives. And then one...
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I know. Tell me about it. And then one other person was a short film lecturer at a university that was talking about the ability of short film. And we're like, wait, well, hold on. What are we talking about? So I think a big part of that is educating people on what's available and what's possible.
Yeah, and I think people don't really get the context of what the web does. Like, people will watch Hulu and they'll watch Netflix and they'll watch a whole hour-long show or all these movies, and they don't realize that they're watching it through the web. And it's like you don't get it. That's the whole thing.
We also have the opportunity, and we could dispense Adderall with extremely short-form content. But I mean, I think I'm looking at Pioneer 1, looking at AIDAN 5, looking at The Cell, looking at Susan's show. I mean, I think you can produce long form and short form. I think moments from those shows might be great ways to engage audiences and to make these little tweetable sections that people can also pass on to each other. Because I think one of the things that the movie industry has found is that the trailer is more watched than the movie on the web.
Always.
Right. So why is that? Because it's shareable, because it's digestible, because it's compact. So I don't think we should have a prejudice one way or the other, but we should be inclusive. That's the point. We're filmmakers, we're storytellers. We can make all these units, and we can put them out in any format that we choose.
Excellent. Just wanted to take a little transition. If you have any questions, feel free to go to the mic right over there. We can just ask a question and loop you into the conversation that we're having up here. So I'm trying to think of how I want to take this. So David, you talked about your background. I know you've been doing this a long time. Can you just give us, the audience, a brief summary of how long you've been doing this and what the projects in the past?
Well, I give the example that when I started doing this, my first series for the web was in 1997. And I went to some technologists and I asked them how long would it take to download my piece of video that I had created. And we were on 14.4 modems. Apparently 15 years was the answer. I've been doing it a long time. And but when I started, I was a young filmmaker, and I came to Hollywood, and I didn't know anybody, I didn't know anything, and I went and shot a sci-fi series. And it's really interesting that a lot of guys here are shooting that kind of content. I don't know why, I guess because technology and storytelling seem to blend a little bit with sci-fi, but thrillers and stories that have endings that we want to discover, I think are very suitable to the medium. So all of this kind of gels together in a particular kind of storytelling, I think. But Yeah, I mean, I came here thinking that Hollywood would throw its doors open to the web, and what I discovered is that they crush you beneath their brutal heel.
Yeah.
If you suggest that there is something out there that is not within... Yeah, I mean, if they own it, they love you. If they don't own it, then you're ostracized, basically. So I became a traditional filmmaker in order to survive, to become a non-traditional filmmaker.
So relating to the kind of the next step for your shows. So I don't know if any of you are planning subsequent seasons. Well, actually, no, some of you are, and some of you are ending the shows. But what is next for you and/or the show? Like, are you, for example, people obviously would like to know, like, are you getting interest for upsell? By upsell, I mean up to television. You develop as a television show, whether it's a television show or not, Bracey, as an example. But I mean, there's conversations that I have, or are they calling you or emailing you and saying, what else you got? We want to work with you because your show is so awesome. Like, well, how are you finding that process? Are you seeing, as David was talking about, some open-mindedness from the traditional studios? Anybody can jump in on this one.
I'll respond to that because I think my show is different. When I hear people say they're being approached, I'm happy for them, and also just like, well, how did that happen? Because we and everyone asks us this. We won the first Writers Guild Award for new media ever given last year, and a number of wonderful accolades. And for a drama series like ours, 12 million views, and because it's a two-man show, or two-woman show in this case, we could not do everything. We did, and spent all of our lives the last 4 years doing it. But in terms of what's next, I mean, one of the reasons I think for us, after 3 seasons, decision to end the show, and when I say end, just like in the sci-fi shows, nothing is ever over. Just keep that in mind. But but it is also a matter of, we also feel that our fans who do anything for us, well, we have to do something for them, and that is, release the pressure. We cannot, if we're not supported financially, we can't ask them anymore, I don't think. That's just our feeling. And also, Tina has another web series, a mini series that she's doing called Good People in Love. I did a branded web series called Bestsellers about women in a book club, which did very well. But the other thing about a show on the web is, Tina asked me one day, are we ever taking, when this is over, our website down? I said, are you kidding me? I mean, we are there in a certain sense forever. And that's the beauty of it. And also, if sponsors could see that, that would be lovely too. That we get new people all the time, and they are able to catch up. For me, I would like to continue to work on the web. I think coming up with other ideas and so on will be. I was approached to do bestsellers, and that was because of anyone but me. Tina and I did not want, nor did we set out to do it as a television show. I had come from, as I said, mainstream television and film, and I wasn't in a hurry to get back to that. And initially, we were approached by certain niche television networks, and they ended up not having the money. And actually, I'm glad, because I think that we could not have had the response, the numbers, this community if we had gone that route then. But at any rate, let me just say, I don't know what the future is, just that there is one, and
Excellent.
I'm in it.
Anybody?
I mean, specifically about the show, or just in general for us?
Up to you. If you're finding like people, well, I'll give you a personal story. Like I did a show a couple years ago called Compulsions, and this is kind of when Susan and Tina were doing their show, when they started their show. And after we did the show, we kind of had 2 routes. One, people came to me and asked me what else I was doing because they didn't want to do compulsions with me. They wanted to do something else with me, which happened to Susan with bestsellers. And two, they'll go, well, we like compulsions, but we don't think it works for the web, or we'd like to take it off the web and do something else with it. Let's have that discussion. So I'm basically asking, has that happened to any of you so far, either one of those two, or are you waiting for it to happen? Which is fine, because we're at different stages on our shows.
I mean, I can just speak for myself. I've had discussions. There have been plenty of discussions about what the future is and what you're going to do. What are you going to do with Cell? What do you want to do with this? There have been discussions trying to get it for a wider pickup for foreign distribution. We have had those discussions. What my personal experience has been, and as I said, it's a dark psychological thriller. What we keep hearing back is it's too dark. Nobody's, oh my God, it's too dark. So while I love the show, I've been having trouble getting that next step because some people feel that it is too dark. Okay, I get it, whatever, too dark. So for me, while I have every intention of continuing with a season 2 of Cell contingent on finding a way to finance it adequately. And I think that's key. It's got to be financed adequately, not just to make it, because realistically, as a content creator, I have bills to pay too. And I think that's one thing that a lot of people forget, is that I'm not just creating just for the heck. I have bills to pay. There has to be some way for me to make a living at this as well. So financing it adequately means that we've got to be able to make a living at it, or else we go somewhere else. So that is one of the reasons why me personally, I'm developing another project right now that really I'm in love with, that probably is a little more, and I hate to say it, market friendly? Oh.
It's a reality.
It's a reality. It's a reality. But the reality is it is much more market friendly. It is a much wider demographic. We did our first table read the other day, and one of the actors came up after the fact and told me, he's like, this is everything Cell was plus 10 to a wider market. And I was like, oh, so I need to do this. And that's kind of where we're at. My hope is that by doing this project, and we do get that wider market, then that is going to draw people to see, well, what else have you done? Oh, what's this show Cell? Then we can watch Cell and go back. I have every intention of revisiting Cell and making it happen. I just feel that right now, because of the feedback I've gotten in these discussions, that I need to do something that's going to be a little more broadly accepted and not quite as niche as what Cell really is.
And I wanted to add to that. Mark was absolutely right about the notion of lots and lots of discussions. There's plenty of discussions. I think the thing that most of us, if not all of us, are sort of hoping or waiting for is those discussions to turn into something legitimate, because I believe that all of us have kind of taken our projects to the limit that we're able to, given our budgets, given our resources. And I think the discussions, at least that we have had, have either been companies or individuals looking to either exploit what we currently have or want us to sort of turn it over to them in some way without really any control or financial, or any financial involvement whatsoever. So for us, it's kind of this strange line. You have a lot of interest, but not any interest in a way that's beneficial to us.
Right.
So I think we're still looking for. We wrote AIDAN 5 as a 3-season story arc, and we were very conscious when we sat down to do that we wanted a really strong through line, so that when you got to the end of the series, you didn't feel like it had been cobbled together over time, and that it had just been sort of pieced together. So we're very passionate about continuing 2 additional seasons of the series, because we have the story for it and we're ready to produce it. And we have additional. I'm developing additional projects, like you said, in the hopes of somehow catching more commercial success that then points back to AIDAN 5.
Just to hop on that for 1 second, which is the idea that no matter what you're doing, I mean, we also determined early on, for anyone but me, that we would do anything we could to make sure that it had some longevity, that you have to be in it for the long haul. It wasn't just a sample. We had to build. The first, when we first premiered, launched, I should say, on Strike TV, which was an endeavor while the writer's strike was going on, and we got lucky in terms of hooking up with them.
This is 2008?
2008, December 2008. I remember it well, yes. And our first day, we got 500 views, and we were just, we were ecstatic, and we thought, who are those 500 people? Where'd they come from? Because really, we were all sort of virginal then. And in our season 3 launch, the first day, we had over 50,000 views, which, again, we don't compare those with other things. We learn, we understand what those engaged views mean. But the reason that happened is because we stayed, and we have to have some staying power and people to help us have that.
Pioneer 1 was conceived of as like a 5-season story arc that kind of scaled as like hopefully our resources got better. So the first part was something that we could kind of achieve on a really small budget, and we would grow as the story grew. Sorry. And we kind of had an interesting two different stages. When we finished the pilot, we went to NYTVF for Best Drama, and because of that, we were approached by a couple of artist agencies and sci-fi and stuff like that. And the sentiment was pretty much like, all right, well, yeah, you got a good idea, so we're gonna, we'd love to take your idea and kind of brush you off of it and give you possibly some money for it and sell it. And we're like, no, we got fans who said it's good. We should probably continue doing it the way we're doing it. So we kind of just shoved them off and went forward, because we were like, I don't understand. How could they even possibly want this? They don't know where it's going. And so then we got, now that we've gotten to the end, people are like, oh, okay. Oh, you want to do a TV show? And we're like, yeah, that's exactly what we're going for. So now we're in talks for continuing and moving on to the second season, and where that might end up is still up in the air. But we have a lot of interesting balls in the air. And I mean, a lot of things have happened because of Pioneer 1. A lot of relationships happened, actually, but I guess that's not a really approach for anything. But because of that, I got approached for an animation that I'm also going to be doing, like a short, and things are definitely happening because of the project staying alive.
Excellent. Go ahead, David.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can distinguish between what we do with our careers as creative people, and what we're hired to do, or the other projects that we do, and the things that we're working on, here in this medium, because of course people are going to see this and think, yes, that guy would be good for X or Y, let's put him on, to do the traditional attachment structure that Hollywood is renowned for. And I think, we've seen that, and I've also, in the past had conversations about, this was great, we can make it greater if you take a hike, I mean, that's a typical scenario. So when I decided it was Receiver, it's totally different. I wrote it as TV series, web series, and feature film. Excellent. And I decided which piece fit where. So the web is extremely important and will never go away.
So there is a TV series component if Warner Sci-Fi were to come to you and say, we want to have a discussion about this.
Yeah, and I mean, we're talking to all kinds of people about doing that, but I don't want to do it fast. I want to build the audience online.
Excellent.
And develop that first. And then, then we can have discussions. But the story is already structured to cross the different platforms. So they don't take what we've done and just remake that for television. That's not the idea. Because the chronology of the story spans those different media.
All right.
That's my defense against that.
Let me ask you a quick question, just so I'm clear. So you have a different...
Speak in the mic, please.
Oh, hi. You have a different story for web, feature, and TV, all in the same universe, already made. I love that.
It is one of the things that I've observed the past year. Besides just telling a good story, you need to kind of design a big world. Yeah. It feels like that's what David's doing, which is excellent. We have a question. Please speak into the mic. The room's kind of weird where sometimes all of you can hear his question, but we can't up here. So really speak into that.
Can you hear me?
Yes. Yeah. Go ahead.
Okay. With web television, there seems to be a pattern of you get one series, one season produced and out on the web, you get fans, and then you're trying to get money for a second season, third season, things like that. Is there a concern and a strategy put in place for the adverse effect that if you have all these great one season shows and it never continues, and fans get frustrated with that and turn away from the web because that's the quality of it? I'm curious to hear.
That's really what I was saying in terms of being in it for the long haul, and that I mean, you are learning things as you're doing your first season, but you can't, I don't think you can leave fans in the lurch. You can say to them, we are coming back, there's a second season, we're in the process of raising money for it, and we'll be back. And in that period of time, you've got to give them stuff, some as content. You have to keep their interest alive and let them know in various ways what you're doing and what sort of projected time of coming back. Now, if you absolutely cannot do that, if you cannot fund it and you know you never will, well, that is the real, pitfall of where we are right now. But you do have to, the fans and viewers and growing viewers, that's crucial, and that continues on. That continues on hiatus, so to speak, if you want to call. We have year hiatus here sometimes. But it's a very good point that you
Has there been a collaborative effort to think about it as a community of what can be done other than just going out and raise money to make your next season? I mean, what strategies could be brainstormed to counter that?
The question is what community. So this is the first time I've actually got to meet other creators. So now, community.
Well,
but I mean, this is a giant thought experiment, right? And the audience knows that. And they're not just sitting on the other end of the thought experiment. They're participating in the thought experiment. Mm-hmm. So I don't feel like fans, like TV fans, which sit back and go, why didn't Firefly get another season, and how could they possibly do that to us? I mean, our fans are writing to us. I'm writing back to them. They're tweeting us. They're part of us, and I think they understand the risks that are at stake, and that we're taking enormous risks by just saying we're not going to do this other stuff. We're going to try here. And my experience has been they have loved us for it, and the responses that we had with Receiver, and I've seen responses for these other shows as well, that is the community that's being formed. It's not just the creator community. Audience and creators seem to be one community. And there's an understanding that nobody wants to produce one show and one season. We all want to go on forever, right? But we know what the economics are, and I think this is the first year that you're going to see those economics changing, and a lot more, I hope, of all these shows are going to see other seasons and new shows come up, which are going to have multiple seasons down the line.
So wait, so to clarify the question, just one note on it. You're asking if, because so many creators, independent creators, not unlike the ones on this panel, the season one doesn't get enough back to do a season two, does it hurt the space as a whole?
Yeah, I'm thinking, and I hadn't thought of what you said, David. I think that's very interesting. I'm just thinking beyond that. Like if web television is going to go to the next level of more like what television is at, where you get the random casual person, I'm going to try something on the web for the very first time. Oh, I like this show. It has one season. Can't wait for the next season. There is no next season. Multiply that by a lot of people, by a lot of shows, and that becomes problematic. I'm just wondering, tossing it up in the air.
Your mic.
It does happen on network television too. You get invested in the show and it's gone. Sorry. just wanted to say that. We don't know when we get invested in characters on a particular show if it's going to necessarily.
Well, here's an example. I mean, just look at go off of Susan's point. Last calendar year for the TV development program for network television, I think there were like 400 pilot scripts. Of the 400, they shot 80 of those. And of those 80, 25 or so were shown to advertisers, and of those 25, 15 went to air for season one. And of those 15, 5 made season two. So, the fans don't come in until like those 15 or so, but it's I think if 10% of us or 15% of us actually get to season two, I think that we're doing better than traditional television.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I do also want to say that I do see the potential risk, especially for a casual viewer, because it is a different space than TV, and there's an immediacy within the web that I think we should at least be concerned of and aware of. For a casual viewer, my aunt has still never seen the show. I'm looking at you, Sue-Ann.
That's the camera he's doing.
It's the camera, anyway.
I thought it was the girl behind the camera. I was like, I'm so sorry.
So young to be lying.
How dare you?
My point is that she has never seen the show, and there's a significant number of casual viewers or viewers who don't know that this is out there. And if their first experience is, I can watch 3 episodes of the show I get really attached to, and that's it, I think that there is a risk of that because of the immediacy of the space. So it is a little different than TV, and we should at least be aware of that. Is there anything that we as a community can do? And I think personally the best thing that we can do is cross-promote the hell out of ourselves. If somebody finds Pioneer 1 and loves Pioneer 1 and they're waiting for the next episode of Pioneer 1, how great would it be to see a link for AIDAN 5 right there? And then they go to AIDAN 5. Oh, this is a great show. There's a ton of brilliant content. We may be the 5 nominees this year for these awards. Don't think that these are the only 5 good shows out. There is brilliant content online. And if we all came together as a community and we found some way to cross-promote, I think we can really start to convert those casual fans into loyal devotees, with the French accent, of our space. And that's just personally what I think. We can take advantage of the immediacy and the risk inherent within it.
I also think that our shows are really going to be for the people who catch it when we're finished with them. Like, and it's kind of a weird, something that Josh had always kind of said, that it's like our show isn't really going to be for the people who are supporting us now. It's going to be for the people who find us after we finish the first season. Because unfortunately, and even worse for our show than anybody else's, is that our first season spanned 2 years basically to make. So the episodes are long, but we just got to the end of it after a 2-year production cycle. So that's a lot of fan dedication to be able to sit there for 2 years and get 1 episode at a time, and then hunger. But I think in the end, because of the long tail of the web, we're going to be able to find the shows immediately that have the seasons, and if we sit through the first one, we're like, hey, I want to see more. It's going to be there. I mean, we've got again, it's going to be exactly like Netflix or Boxy or Roku. We can just go to whatever we want. And I think another thing that we can do as creators is, we don't have to, but when a season wraps up in itself, like, it still leaves an open end for more. But I think as creators, most of us are pretty good at telling the seasonal story and wrapping that in its piece, so no one feels slighted or anything by the end of it, like they wasted all their time.
Excellent. We good on that subject? All right. So let's talk about kind of a transition with that. And this is something that I've heard a lot in other panels here during our IAWTV kind of block of programming. How do you measure success? I'll give you some answers that you can just take. 1, audience. 2, money, right? 3, IAWTV Awards, shameless plug. 4, awareness for your craft as a writer, director, etc. So, what makes this show a success? The show you're working on now a success to you? Is it already a success? That's my question. How do you measure success? Anybody?
Number 1 was finishing it. That was huge, a huge success marker for us, because it was such an undertaking, and people said it couldn't be done, including ourselves. So hitting that was 1, and then the engagement for the first season, we got over 8 million downloads, and those aren't just streams; those are people downloading it to their computer so they can put it on their Xbox and watch it on their TV and all that, and put it where they want to. As far as I'd been aware, that had never happened before. So being able to step into a new territory and hit that mark was, if the money comes, that's great. But I definitely feel like we've hit our success markers.
All right. Let's go back to the line. David?
Just money.
Just money. Awesome.
Yeah, but when I was a painter, all I and my friends who were painters talked about was money. And the reason is that it allowed us to make new work. It allowed us to survive. It allowed us to make better and bigger and more interesting works of art. And I've not changed my mind. At the end of the day, I love this. I love what I do. I love being with these guys. All of that is great, lots of downloads, and I don't know what it translates into except this universal denomination that we share with Russians and Chinese and Americans and British and, you know, I don't know, money. Because that's the fuel, that's our currency for saying you get to go on, you get to continue.
It's a sense of validation. I totally understand. Totally understand the point. So.
Yeah, I can answer that several different ways. I agree completely. Money is a great level of success, and that's why everything I'm planning right now is how can we make this financially viable. That for me is going to be very important. Specifically for this project, how did I measure success? And I can say specifically for this project, and the reason I made it and the reason I got in this space in particular was because I wanted to tell a story and create an emotion. I felt I was successful when I released an episode and my Twitter feed lit up with people saying how much they were crying at the end of the episode. When that happened to me, I was like, I'm successful. Maybe I don't continue, whatever happens, I don't care. This show is a success because we have fans that care and love the show. And money.
I'm gonna have to tailor make the word success. I think I have to leave out money for the moment, or I would have to leave the panel.
No, let's go.
No, but that isn't true because we needed it to make the show. But I think that, I think all of us here in the arts, want to be seen, heard, or our work viewed. And to me, if we are seen and heard, especially in the voice that we want to project and the stories we want to tell, if we're affecting people. And I have to say, yes, in greater numbers, I suppose, that's an even more wonderful measure of success. But for me, those letters that come in saying, I wish there had been a show like this when I was growing up, or the person who made a video coming out to her parents because of our show, or the straight dads who write about their children having this to watch, or just women who love to watch television and the web and love the relationships, and people, the fans who make t-shirts and who fight about this romantic relationship in favor of that one. Those things, but also the recognition of peers, which we've gotten, all of us have here now. It's very moving to me, actually. And to be able to write something and then produce it and look at it and say, we did good. And to hug Tina Cease Ward, who doesn't really like to be hugged, I'll say it on air, at the end of a season's shoot and say, we did good. That to me is success.
And Ben?
I would agree with David in that money is the fuel, allows us to continue to do what we do, but I would also put probably above that and agree with Mark as well, that audience, whatever you want to call it, fulfillment, satisfaction, your audience really enjoying what you set out to do. And I think everyone up here set out to create something that got a certain response specifically from an audience. And the measure of whether or not you have a successful or not, or unsuccessful product is that you hope you get the response that you set out to receive. And if people don't like it, then you consider it's bad. Or if it's great, then if your response is what you hope for, there's a sense of personal satisfaction. But that also is a fuel that continues to allow your show or your product to continue. Because if there's no audience who wants to see what you're doing, then it's also a difficult thing to keep going. And so we've been incredibly fortunate with 8 and 5, while we're still out there looking for the financial fuel, we're incredibly just awestruck and humbled by the response that we've received from the critical satisfaction of the series. And that has given us kind of the shot in the arm to continue working on the additional 2 seasons.
I want just to add one more thing just quickly, which is that I say money, but the truth is, now that everybody's agreed with me,
We know.
we would do this and have done this for no money, because this is what we feel compelled to do. I can't not do it. I wish I could stop sometimes, and there have been moments over the last 10 years where other people, family members, wives, threatened all kinds of hell and catastrophe if I didn't stop. And those people stuck with me and went through the hell that was my career to get to this point. Other people have, made other decisions in their lives. I made these because this is what I want to do. And I think if you measure success, I measure it by endurance, actually, in my own personal career. Is how many no's I've endured to get to a place where I still continue to do it. So, yes, now we recognize the economics drive it, but we all did it because we needed to. And that was, you can't put a price on that. Isn't that a commercial?
It sounds like it. I just want to add one thing, because you made me think of this too, is that when you get to the point in your show where you say, after mid-season 3, and we say to each other, we cannot end this like this. The fans will kill us. Now, I don't mean rewriting the show. I mean ending our series, for example. If we have that many passionate, ardent people out there who we just don't want to disappoint by saying goodbye in a certain way, and finding the money somehow to go on, to at least give them the fulfillment of that, then we're not just, we're doing it because there are actual people out there that are riled up about it. And anyway, yeah.
Okay. Well, I mean, relating to the kind of the audience, the reaction, the money even, because this is what the execs will say. Well, they say, the audience equals all these things, like the number of audience. So, transitioning to acquiring audience, I'd like to ask each of you, what is your distribution and your plan going into it? Because I know how you all 5 of you distributed your shows, and I think they're very unique avenues you all took. Not that they're all completely 5 completely different ways, but there's slight changes in it, and I'd like to hear the thought process of going in, what you wanted to do in the beginning, what you ended up doing, and why you made those decisions. Let's start at the end with Bracey.
The thought process for releasing Pioneer 1 was, if we make a show and put it out there the same way that people illegally download shows, because there are millions of them and millions of them, that they might look at it and download it the same way, being like, oh, I don't know what this is. It was made in America. Let's check it out. And then like it, and then want more. And that would boost our numbers, and it worked. Within the first 2 weeks, we had over 2 million downloads, and people already coming to the show being like, this is wins more, I want more, I'll donate, whatever you want. So yeah. And we felt the technology was something that is not being utilized properly. Like it's kind of like people when Xerox came out, people who were in the industry and paper industry, they're like, I make money off of printing this stuff and no one being able to get a copy of it. But now that you have a Xerox machine, like you're destroying my business. And I think we're in the middle of seeing that, but there was a transition, and now we don't even think about it. A Xerox machine isn't something that we were like, oh my God, that's an evil machine. I can't believe somebody would use that. And so I feel like utilizing technology to distribute the way that that we can. I'm completely sidetracked. I'm going to just stop there. Yeah, so we use BitTorrent.
Awesome. David?
I love the idea of using the thing that everybody fears and hates to actually distribute what we love to produce. Anyway, I cold called Google, And I said, you may or may not know what I've done before, but I've got this new thing that I'm doing. Can I show it to you? And show them a pilot. And through a labyrinth of introductions to different people, eventually ended up finding a big sponsor who said, yeah, we want to launch, phones and all kinds of stuff in Motorola. And, we'll give you an advertising budget to help do this. So we're completely self-financed, and in fact, my partner Taylor Klein's sitting over there, and he put money into these crazy ideas. And we had no idea what was going to happen. We eventually got introduced to YouTube and then to Machinima, and we went through their subscription network essentially to distribute receiver. But I think what we noticed was that Machinima's market was very focused on gamers, and there were all these people outside of that niche who never heard of receiver, who were actually equally good candidates as viewers for it. And maybe there are 50 million people like that outside of it. And I would say to all these people, today, there is an enormous audience appetite for what we do. Just because we release it in one platform doesn't mean we have to be restricted ultimately to that platform. And I think what will happen, I love this idea of referrals, that you'd go to see AIDAN 5, and after that you'd go to see Pioneer. I mean, that would be brilliant. I mean, which of the distributors that I work with would permit it, I don't know. But I love that idea, because I agree we've got to create a sense of, there's got to be critical mass in what we deliver. People have to be able to turn on and tune in to this as an experience, just like they do to television, or the advertisers won't come. And what I did, by the way, it's going to happen to everybody. It's just that I happened to have an advertising background, so I knew how to navigate that. But my guess is that going forward, that advertisers are going to offset a lot of these costs, and much more direct to producer than direct to network that then goes to a producer.
So just to add a little more to the mythology, the story.
There's mythology.
The mythology of the story. I don't know why I say mythology. It's real. It happened. So Motorola's contribution to the series was from the advertising budget.
Yeah, that's right.
Right. And I'm just going to tangent real quick before I get to the other three. I was talking to one of the big agents in the space yesterday, and he was telling me about the Mortal Kombat story and how the Mortal Kombat series, also nominated for a few IAWTV Awards, was literally completely funded by the advertising budget, not like Warner Brothers' web series division. It's like, no, the advertising budget for the game is going to fund the show, and it'll get a huge audience. So I think it's really interesting just to kind of note. Go ahead, Mark.
Well, before I jump on that, when we say advertising budget, we're not talking about pre-roll advertising revenue, correct? We're
No.
about
As in, like the
ads,
money that they planned to advertise Mortal Kombat the game went instead to fund the series.
Yeah, and I love that, and I would agree that I think that we're going to see more of that as we go on and get more content creators out there. I think that's going to happen more. Now, to me, how we distribute it on here. I was in this weird place when I first started developing Cell. I wrote the episodes again as long as I thought they needed to be. Well, that ended up with some episodes that were a little longer than others. And at the time we released, YouTube would not allow videos past a certain length. I had no option of going to YouTube with my series. So the original plan was to just self-distribute. I was very lucky in that Coldcast.tv heard about the show and contacted me, and I talked with them about the show, and they wanted to bring us onto their network. So we launched on Coldcast, which was a much better idea than self-distributing. I am so fortunate that happened because they had at least an audience that was going to Coldcast and was aware of their content, and their promotion of our show was a big step in us getting the notice that we did. Now later on I did, branch out into Blip, and eventually, I guess last year, YouTube did extend their time limit, so I was able to go on YouTube. And I've put it up there, and we're starting to get some hits off that slowly but surely, but primarily we were on the Coldcast network, which is a curated network of shows. And now I've started to go out into the YouTube and the Blip, and we do have our own destination site, but it's all hosted within either the Blip or the Coldcast players right now.
Okay, well, when I started, I didn't know what a web series was, so if today I were starting another web series, I would get with these guys, and I would trail them around here and schmooze people up, which is something I never did before. But once I started working on Anyone But Me, I just thought I've got to go into whatever room this is and walk up to people and talk to them about the show and hand out cards, and it was just completely alien to me. But when we started, we both determined, well, we didn't know, again, YouTube, the power of YouTube is quite, and we do very well on YouTube. We are a YouTube partner. We are now a Hulu partner, a Blip TV partner, and Coldcast. But initially, as I said, it was just by chance I found out about the Strike TV. And for me, that was critical. We also had, of course, our own website, which was also very important. So we did have a destination site. That's been very crucial too. But Strike gave us, okay, we're part of this now. And there's people are going to come to this just because of what it is, the Writers Guild Strike site. And from there, we felt we could then branch out, and the next place was Blip TV, which in a sense, I think is trying to do what you say about cross-promoting. They really do. Anyone But Me recommends, and then there'll be shows underneath, and they are trying to do that. But the whole idea, and I mean, I still feel like an infant in that realm. I got on the phone with Subaru, the representative for Subaru. I got on the phone with people and talked to them about representing our show, about supporting our show. And I learned a lot. I really learned a lot. But I don't know the players in that world. And we didn't have money to hire someone. So many people who do understand that in this business, like Paul Cantonis. I mean, they come up to us, we want to help you. We want Anyone But Me to get some funding. We want to do this. Well, and they mean it. And we've had people try to jump on to give some of their time, and then they end up having to go work for money, of course. So I've totally forgotten the question. This is
distribution plan.
Yeah, this is the history. Right? This is the history of me here. Distribution sites. I know. But anyway, it was important to us to find a launching pad, just like Mark said, because to go out entirely on your own, it doesn't make sense. And now there are so many more of them.
When we first started about 3.5 years ago, we approached the distribution about the most wrong way that you possibly could, and we did it pretty much in the way that Bracey talked about, where we thought, well, we'll release it on our site, we'll drive everybody to that site, it'll get the most views, and we found out really early on that was just, it wasn't going to work. And we didn't understand the space very well, and for us it was a very steep learning curve. The second thing that we did incredibly wrong was that we released our first episode right out of the gate, and then there was about a 1.5 to 2 year lag before we started releasing the series officially. And so we had been promoting and saying, oh, we're releasing, and then it really took us a while to get through the bulk of the post-production, mostly because every shot in our series is a visual effects shot. And it really took us a while to really understand that it's really, for us anyway, it's about getting in as many venues as possible, not trying to keep a very, small, limited space. It's about really getting out there. And so we've really approached our distribution model really from the ground up, because we don't really have a lot of or any of those connections, or even what Susan was saying, like calling people up just cold and being like, trying to explain what you're doing, and then hearing them really not getting it on the other end of the line. And so you really just realize that it's really about exposure, and it's about a community. And what we found through that, we discovered, we didn't know what the web series community was like, and it's still very new at that time. And what we discovered was this family, or this really great community of people that we weren't in competition with, because there's enough space out there for everybody. It really
Even
was,
though you're in a competition tonight.
Right, well, yes.
Wait, what?
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
I'm coming for you guys.
Wait, I can lose?
But really, I mean, there is that. We found that cross-promotion and with other web shows has been our best asset, and to talk about their series as well as ours. And we're still discovering, all of these great shows, and I'm incredibly honored to be a part of this with you guys.
Can I jump on that real quick? Because he brought up something that I really feel needs to be harped on, because I have talked to some new creators who are looking to create a new show, and they've called me and said, hey, can I talk? Yeah, sure, please, let's have coffee. We'll have coffee, and one of the concerns I've heard expressed some of these times is, well, what if they watch another show? That's a good thing. This is not a zero-sum game. It's not, you're either going to watch Anyone But Me or Cell, and that's it. You will, no, it's not like that. The chances of them watching Cell go up if they've already seen Receiver. The chance, and vice versa. If they're comfortable with the space and they're comfortable with the content, they're going to watch other shows in the space. So I really want to just kind of harp on that, because it's something that I've heard, especially new creators in the space, really concerned about, and that's something we can't be. It's not a zero-sum game. It's a, I forgot the word. It's not, where it's more than the sum of the parts. What is that word?
The tide, the rise of the tide floats all
Float,
boats.
yeah, there you go. We'll go with that metaphor. I like it.
I mean, that's what United Artists was, wasn't it? It was Charlie Chaplin, Mary Pickford, D.W. Griffith, everybody working together. I mean, you've all seen Hugo, right? I mean, we're Méliès. We're those people who were creating things for a medium that didn't exist.
Excellent. So we're about to wrap up. If you have any more questions, anybody has another question, please jump up. I'm gonna, let's see, I'm trying to think. So everybody seems to, no one here geoblocks, my understanding. Like no one here geoblocks, and it's something that is kind of a touchy subject in the academy, in the space. Geoblocking, to explain, is you restrict a foreign territory, or even our territory, US, from watching your content in order to premium sell it in that territory. So hypothetically, if Cell were to geoblock, you can watch it in the US, but you can't watch it in England because someone is trying to sell the rights to show Cell, tongue twister, in England, and to charge a premium rate for it. How do you guys feel about that? Because it's a definitely a revenue stream, and I'm just curious.
I have geoblocked content, or when I was with Paramount, we did a Circle of 8 and it was geoblocked.
Yes.
It undermines the distribution of the product. Because we're not able to focus enough advertising money and awareness in the US market alone. We're getting our views from all over the world. I mean, I got some stats back recently from YouTube that amazed me about where people were watching Receiver. So we get, and also that's complex news for advertisers, because if you're getting advertising budgets out of the US, then they want your viewership to be in the US. So now you go to global brands who actually are pulling money from all sorts of different budgets. You can get more money as a result of that. If you have views in Latin America, like we had a lot of views in Latin America, that's actually really good for Motorola because their second biggest market is Latin America. They didn't know that until we brought them those stats. So my guess is that geoblocking in the long term is a bad thing. We are geoblocked. We're all geoblocked, by the way, by China. So, I mean, although a lot of people in China get to see our stuff as well through whatever. But I think, that geoblocking, actually, if you're thinking about advertising as a way of making, as opposed to subscription or having a network pay for this as advertising, or, that's exactly what happened with Mortal Kombat. I think you need the wider audience, because you can actually gather more advertising dollars as a result of that.
For us, the entire world has actually been a huge part in the production of the show. I mean, most of our audience is international. Most of our audience lies outside of the U.S. And it's been, like all the subtitles for the show, it's been translated into well over 20 different languages, and that wasn't us. That was people from around the world. And then it was refined, and it was sent back to us, and we can use it on the DVDs and stuff like that. So for us, it's been so much more useful to bring in the entire world. Though I will say, if that's the only way a show can get money, and they want to produce it, I mean, I'm not gonna shake my finger at them if they can't produce it any other way, and it's just because they have to block out Malaysia. And it's like, sorry Malaysia, then you're gonna have to. I don't know. It's for the creator.
Yeah, I agree completely with that. I think I don't know anyone who loves the idea of geoblocking. At the same time, if
advertisers love geoblocking.
Okay, advertisers love geoblocking. I don't know any creators who love the idea of geoblocking. Now, having said that, if somebody comes to you and says, "Oh, I'll give you a ton of money, but you can only show it in the U.S. until we get foreign sales," can we turn down a ton of money if that's what's going to get the show made? If that's what's going to pay our bills? I don't think we can. So I'm not going to be offended if anybody geo-blocks. I don't want to do it. At the same time, I'm not going to be angry and frustrated with someone who chooses to do that if that's what it takes to make ends meet, to make the show.
But what happened with geo-blocking is when they try to sell the foreign territories go, but what is that? I've never heard of it.
It's true.
Because they've never been able to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And could you send us a link? No, sorry, we can't.
Geo-blocked, remember?
We're just switching the player on our site from Blip to Hulu, and our concern has always been about our international fans, which we have many, and so right under the player, that player is a big with the three of our actors saying for our international fans, we give them the choice, YouTube and Blip. We have that on every single video that we play, every episode, every extra video, and we're just starting that. We haven't initiated it yet, but it shouldn't be a problem. Just some extra work.
So to explain, when I just jumped in and said advertisers of geo-blocking, and it's kind of like the foreign distribution, like they're trying to sell to advertisers, and they'll go to someone like something we only have here, like In-N-Out Burger, right? And In-N-Out Burger is going to advertise or sell, and they're going to pay a $30 CPM. So every 1,000 views, you get $30. That's like 15 times what YouTube pays right now, and that's good money. But In-N-Out is going to go, well, I don't want to pay for views where there's no In-N-Out, right? Because In-N-Out's very very geocentric, so they don't want to pay for your 50,000 fans in the UK, even though they speak English, right? And they'll probably, hopefully, eat In-N-Out. They still don't want to pay for that. So anyway, just wanted to make that clarification. Question, and we'll wrap this up.
Yeah, I'm kind of a plant. I'm with Ben Bays and Aiden 5. But as I was sitting here thinking, does anybody sense a war brewing on a space that has felt like it's been ours, and now mainstream is sort of stepping in and trying to, oh, no, we want you exclusive here. And they're trying to make their model that they've owned and kept everyone else out of, and they're trying to make that model now on the web as well. And I know that sounds...
So you're asking about the kind of indie versus studio divide?
Yeah, because I've heard of some places wanting to come in and they're like, we only want you to subscribe. It's like the death of cable. We all know it's coming. And the great thing is we're all thinking, I want to watch what I want to watch, when I want to watch it, on my terms. Everybody knows that. That's where we're heading. That's where these boxes are coming up. But now the boxes, they're even saying, oh, wait, we want to be exclusive here. We're only going to carry this content, and we're going to try to block other people out. And I just didn't know if anybody else is getting that sense that, all that's going to be pushed on what's been a free environment for us to create in, and it's going to start getting more...
Well, we have some representatives here who... Yeah, go ahead. Just go.
I was going to say, there's definitely... a war brewing, if you want to call it that. I wouldn't say it's a conspiracy, but I think it's also going to be necessary. I mean, it's a change of the times. It's the old guard and the new guard, and we're going to have to switch it out. And there's going to be some blood. No, no, it's the case. We're seeing the value more and more, and the big players have more money to do it better in a way. Not necessarily better, but I think in the end it's going to go back and forth, and whatever comes out of that is going to be a hybrid of the two. I don't know when that's going to be, but I think it's going to be necessary.
I think the worry I have is we might start looking at that as we are their plaything. We are. I worry a little bit about the market need for celebrities, for example, on the web. When one of my pleasures is discovering new people and putting them to work, and that. It's a worry, but I don't want to dwell on it, I mean, because then suddenly it is that David and Goliath thing, and I don't know what the defense for that will be exactly, but I think people who come to the web and to come to the shows that are represented here, they know where the other things are already. They're coming here because they're hungry for something different, and that is us. And if it is controlled by, the powers that be, it will turn into what that was. And I don't think people want that. I hope not.
Sorry. I was going to say that I don't think there is conspiracy. I mean, it's a confederacy of dunces, let's face it. Who is in charge? Who are these media companies? Please don't. I'm in enough trouble already.
No, he's ruined it.
You're doing great.
You got to remember that if you're sitting at the studio, right, and the networks, you think Yahoo and AOL and YouTube and Google are upstarts, right? So from our point of view, I think it's very fractured. I think they're at war with each other. AOL and Time Warner couldn't live together. Big surprise, right? But there are different priorities that drive these guys, and I think there are different priorities that drive us. Whether anybody can come in and make a clean sweep of it and own this business, I think it's going to be extremely difficult to do that. And I'm an open source guy, and I believe in the anarchy of the web and all the creativity that comes out of that. But it's not bad to have guys coming in from these big media companies and saying, we want to supercharge this. It's not bad for YouTube to have $100 million that it spends with new creators, or Yahoo, spending millions of dollars with okay, it's Tom Hanks, but there are lots of people out there who are going to get Yahoo money as well, I guess. I think that's good for all of us. Where it's going to shake out, that I can't say, and I very much doubt it's going to be a monopolistic environment with 4 major studios, and I eat my words in 5 years' time. But I don't think that's what's going to happen this time around.
Unless they pass things like the Stop Online Piracy Act and stuff like that.
I was just going to say that.
I feel like that's sorry, I didn't mean to steal it.
No, that's going to be a huge discussion. Let's not go into
that's a whole other panel right
that's
there.
more of the war that I was thinking of is going to be the politics of all this and remaining keeping the freedom to have speak, keeping the freedom of speech on the web, because it's the great equalizer. There's nothing. I mean, I think this panel even proves that the space is the great equalizer. We all have different ways to come to the same point, and we're letting the audience choose, not us. What's the best?
Yeah, I mean, even it is a great equalizer. Even if all of these big names come in and they do start creating these portals, that doesn't stop you from putting your content online. That's what it all boils down to. It doesn't stop you. You can still do it. You can still find your success in it. You said something brilliant a minute ago I was going to bring up, and I totally forgot it. Dang it.
God, someone else forgot something.
Oh, yeah.
The Piracy Act. Yeah, the Stop Piracy Act.
Well, it was before the piracy. It was something that you said specifically about that. But, I remember what it was, because something clicked in my head. The big names coming into the space as well, again, it goes with the whole collaboration thing. The cover of USA Today was the $100 million investment in YouTube. That was the cover of USA Today. There are people who never knew this existed who now know. After today, they know. These big investments and the big companies coming in are going to change the space, and I kind of believe that in the long term, it's going to benefit all the creators. So I think that's where we're at right now.
All right, so we're a little on the overtime now, so we're going to just wrap this up. So final, kind of down the line, I'd like you to, obviously plug your show. Tell us where you can find it, the easiest way that you'd like to have us discover your show. And a quick what you're hoping for 2012, aside from the events of tonight, which is going to be obvious. And finally, I'd like you to, because we talked about cross-promotion, I'd like you to plug another show not worked on by anybody on this panel, including myself. So we'll start with...
Well, our hopes for AIDAN and the future of the series is that we get to continue finishing the story that we set out to tell. We have 2 seasons lined up. The story's ready to go. We're currently writing scripts. We're in the process of that. And we hope, whether it's financial or just like we did the first season, our volunteers don't hate us that much that they'll come back for more seasons and we can finish that. And we hope that our audience continues to grow and our awareness continues to grow because we think we've got a really great story to tell. As far as
where can we find your show?
Well, you can find our show at AIDAN5.com. We're also on YouTube and Blip TV. And the 2 shows that are on this panel, our good friends Blood and Bone China, which is a great Victorian-era vampire series that's based in the UK, and fabulous people, good friends of ours. And Tyranny. That's just, I mean, any conspiracy theory shows, I'm a sucker for those. I geek out on them. So.
Excellent. Susan?
Well, my hope for anyone but me is that it has and will continue to make a mark on the web and in our community, in our world, and that it will help open the door to other, for want of a better term, sort of relationship dramas, and that, you know, even after our series finale, we get a call one day and they say, well, where have you been? We want to do something with you. And I'll say, yeah, I've heard that before. You know, I couldn't have anything more fulfilling than what has really already happened for us as a show, except to continue to be an influence. We can be seen on our own website, anyoneButMeSeries.com, and on Hulu, YouTube, Blip TV. One show I would highly recommend, and I'm just so thrilled to say that it was also nominated for the Writers Guild of America, second year annual New Media Award, is Darren Strauss's Downsized. She also has a site called Digital Chick TV, on which she does do interviews and touts shows and links to shows. Yes, those mainly of interest to women, but in this space, that's a good thing. We want more women to enter it. And I think on that note too, the thing that Anyone But Me represents is that two women can make a show, produce a show, write a show, direct a show, and be a part of this with the guys who I so admire.
All right, excellent. Mark?
Okay, so you can see the show at sellthewebseries.com. It's probably the best way because, like I said, the importance of a portal is important. So please go to sellthewebseries.com. In watching the episodes, getting ready for submissions and everything for the awards, I really got caught up again with how much I love this story. I really want to tell a second season of Cell like nobody's business. I love the story, and like I said, I got this 60-page Bible just sitting there. Please don't make me waste my time, because it's sitting there. I would love to do that. In lieu of that, the other project that I am working on right now, I'm in development on, that I'm equally excited about, is called Weird Girls. Very excited about that. If you follow Lovable Varmint Productions, then you'll see a production blog on where we're going through and the status of that. So I hope that you will all kind of follow what we're doing with Weird Girls. As I said earlier, if I can get successful with Weird Girls, the chances of season 2 of Cell happening go up drastically for me. So please watch that. Wow.
Plug a show.
Shows that I like, there are so many, and it is so hard. I could just start going.
I'm calling you out. Give me one or two.
Ruby Sky PI is one of the most charming shows I've seen on TV. Or on the web, sorry. I love Ruby Sky PI. Standard Action and Walking in Circles, equally as fun if you're into online gaming, massively MMOs, blah, blah, blah. I love those shows. It was only one. God, I could just keep going.
All right.
Sorry, everybody, I'm sorry.
I'm going to stop you. All right. Go ahead, David.
So you can basically Google Receivers, the easiest way to find it. And please, when you look for it, it's on YouTube. Please look at all the other pieces of video that we created around it, because what we did was we built sites where you can explore the mythology of the story and learn about all kinds of things that are off the edge of this rectangle. And I'm so interested in the idea that, you know, the rectangle's a tyranny, right? And outside of that tyranny are all these other little tyrannies. But please, you know, come be tyrannized, because there's so much other than the video that we've created. And by the way, that's what the advertisers actually engaged with.
Yeah, there is a very vast world online that you kind of have. You have there with Transmedia, ARG. If you're really interested in the interactive story kind of movement, I would definitely check out. You know, game show.
And in terms of shows, I mean, I'm glad, Ben, you're friends with the Blood and Bone China, because I loved what they were doing. I think they did an amazing job, and I hope to see them up here, you know, next year. And that was the show I thought was terrific.
All right.
I'm gonna reverse my order. I'm gonna start with the shows that I watch. Kevin Pollak's chat show, I think, is fantastic, and I don't know if this one counts, but TED Talks is fantastic. And I mean, Spread the Ideas, everything.
It totally counts. There's nowhere to see TED Talks on the web.
I mean, TED Talks is to me by far the most groundbreaking thing out there on the web. Pioneer One, we're working hard to move strongly into the second season and beyond, and I think that's where all our focus is, even as we're doing whatever it is on the side. And you can find Pioneer One. Actually, I brought things if you want, because we're trying to get rid of these things. I mean, no, they're very precious to us. We have these Frisbees with Pioneer One on it, so you can find us on Pioneer One. Just throw that out there.
And it comes back.
Or if you're really hot, I mean, because it is Vegas, it's also a personal fan. So whatever you want. And we also have a DVD with the pilot episode and the 5th episode that we're up for the nomination for. So yeah, if you'd like that, come and get it.
But if I want to go on my computer here, where do I go?
It's on pioneer1.tv, and you can find it on YouTube, you can find it on Blip, you can find it on Vimeo, and on Boxy, and it's out there. Or if you really just feel like downloading it, go to the torrents.
Excellent. All right, so I'd like everybody to give a round of applause to our panelists. Thank you very much. Good luck to each of them tonight in their nominations, not just the best drama overall, but all the other nominations that they may have.